Hi, I'm Harvey Hubbell. This is Harvey Hubbell Show and Tell, and I'm talking to, in Pennsylvania, Pam Kastner. So, Pam, we're coming to visit you like in a couple weeks. What's the date we're coming to visit you on? Harrisburg.
July 27th.
July
Yeah, July 27th.
July 27th. So this is we're slipping this in just before. This podcast is going to be in just before. So, Pam, you're a superhero, and we're going to talk about that more in part two. But part one,
Okay.
listen, being a superhero, I don't know if you know about superheroes. I know you do, but it's not easy. So you guys are advocates, and you're hardworking guys. And so tell us about what just happened with the bill in Pennsylvania. What just
Um,
happened?
well, we're making some small strides in Pennsylvania that we're proud of, but we still have a ways to go. Just recently, our Pennsylvania budget passed with a nice increase in education, but not funded for structured literacy or focused specifically on changes that we want to see explicitly around literacy. We did have a Senate Bill 801 pass through the Senate Education Committee 48-1, almost unanimously, which was a wonderful victory for the children and educators here in Pennsylvania. However, the three areas it focused on establishing a reading council in the state of Pennsylvania that would guide literacy in the state and curriculum selection and recommendations, as well as mandating screening for students early so that we would know who is at risk, and then interventions that align to evidence for those students who are at risk. That basically those three-pronged areas was not funded, and its mirror partner, House Bill 998. So Senate Bill 801 main sponsor was Senator Ryan Ahmet, and the main sponsor of House Bill 998 that mirrors Senate Bill 801 will remain in the House for the time period, and we will begin anew. We're not giving up. We serve children, and it's such an honor to do that, and so we will continue this really important work. It was a little disappointing, but we are further than we were, and we're not where we're going to be. So that's where things stand right now. Legislative wise, at least.
Pam, you get knocked down 7 times. What do, baby?
Get up 8, 9, 10, 11,
Get up 8,
12.
9, 10. That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking
How
about.
long does it take?
Okay. Hey, so let's say that your bill just didn't get passed, and you guys have worked really hard. But we've talked about it before that we're in a better place now than we were 10 years ago, and we know
We sure are.
we sure are, and we know more about the science of reading now than we did. We have 10 more years of papers in there, right? Am I right?
We do, and practice and success with students in schools across our country, and also here in Pennsylvania, where they've embraced structured literacy, right? So we have the evidence, we've had it for a long time, and we are implementing it more so than we ever have, and the evidence is there. Our kids are learning, our teachers are excited about the ability to reach every child, and so we just want to make sure that every child has, we want to make sure every child has this right, and every teacher. So
Okay. So let's pretend we're going to get together in Pennsylvania soon. Now,
we are.
we have a really good panel. We have you're on the panel,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's going to be really good. I'm on the panel. It's going to be great.
We're on the
We're gonna Jess is on the
What's
panel.
not to like,
What's
right?
what's not like? Well, what we're going to do? You guys are going to tell us how we get going and how we can help more kids next year. Here's who's watching right now. Here's who's watching. There's parents of struggling readers, advocates. Some people are saying, "Hey, this is some newbies and some old guard," and there's some educators. Same thing, newbies and old guard, and there's legislators and decision makers and policy makers. So, what are all these people going to see? We watch our film, which is a pretty good film. I like it, and a lot of people like it. And then we're going to have a panel discussion. but we're going to be talking about
Hmm.
Pennsylvania. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So, and the panel discussion, we're going to be talking about how we can do better for the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of really positive things going for our state. I mean, since I work at Patton, the Pennsylvania Training and Technical Assistance Network, where I have the honor of serving as the state lead for literacy. And um, we have a really wonderful state system of support in Pennsylvania. We have our Department of Ed and the Bureau of Special Education, our Patton system, which is IDEA funded. So the resources and professional knowledge and coaching and everything we provide for our state comes at no cost to our school districts. And then we have our intermediate unit partners, 29 of them across the state that we work all together in partnership in a systems approach to support our local education agencies. So when I have the opportunity to talk about literacy across the country and I share a tiny bit about our state system of support, people are like, admire that there is a system of support in that way. So sometimes I think it's the best kept secret, maybe important to make sure that local education agencies know about that. But also, I'm proud of the coalition of advocacy organizations around literacy. We all have the same mission, the same goal that every educator has the right to this knowledge so that they can ensure that every child that they have the honor of teaching is literate. And we are really working together. In a coalition, we all have the same goal. We maybe have different approaches to it, and they're all awesome approaches, but we've really been banding together. And that partnership, I think, is so important to leverage all of us together to reach that goal. And I really think that's what it takes. Because we have made progress in Pennsylvania. It is very much a local control state. I'm sure you've heard that about other states, but it's certainly true of ours. And so we've made a lot of progress, but we still have a long way to go. I guess when you work for children, when you serve children, when you have the honor of waking up in the morning and and you get to do that every day, which is such an honor, you tend not to look at where your successes are. You keep looking as to where you have to keep going because I'm in schools, not as much in the summer, but every day, in schools. And so if you're still seeing a teacher who doesn't have this knowledge, or you're seeing kids who are not reading and the impact it has on them, not only academically, but on every fiber in their being, you just tend to see maybe sometimes what still needs to be done. So I'm thankful that we're having a conversation too, where we can focus somewhat on the successes of what we've accomplished so far.
Well, I do want to talk about success. I also want to talk about the coalition, and
Yeah.
you're right. Everybody solves problems on a different way, but that's why I don't know how to teach no kids how to read. That's what you guys do. I make movies about people who teach kids how to read, and it brings people together, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
I do. So we bring everybody together, and so you're going to have some great thought leaders, some problem solvers there, and I'm here to tell
Yeah.
you guys you're making headways on there. So who's the coalition? Who's in the coalition? Who's our friends in Pennsylvania?
Oh gosh. Well, Pennsylvania branch of IDA, right? PBIDA, Everyone Reads Pennsylvania, Teach Plus, Excel on Ed, president of the Reading League. So the Reading League PA is very involved. AIM Academy through their work as well. Of course, I hope I mentioned Read by Fourth in the Philadelphia area. So, it's a very welcoming coalition. What I'm saying is we're not trying to, if there's an organization out there that we, somehow, Decoding Dyslexia Pennsylvania, I think I mentioned. So we've all been working together. We've been hosting, events together. We go to the state, to lobby together. So it's been wonderful to band together and try to make a difference together. So, when one group might not have time because they're also doing something else, the other group can pick up, and really that's the way it's been, and it will continue. I think that with the lack of funding for Senate Bill 801 and to move House Bill 998 forward, it just has spurred us on further. I'm really proud of our legislators who have been behind Senate Bill 801 and House Bill 998. In particular, of course, Senator Ryan Ahmet with the Senate and Jason Ortatai and House Bill 998. They're not giving up either, right? So, and it's been a bipartisan. It's how sometimes they try to make this. I don't know how you can make ensuring every child reads a political thing, but somehow some people try to make it a political agenda. But this has been both the Senate bill and the House bill have had bipartisan support. So
okay, so bipartisan support. I mean, this is what the big thing where if nothing else happens, I don't care what color sign you have outside of if it's red or blue or what color. We're trying to teach kids how to read, or maybe we don't want to teach kids how to read. I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. But because it shouldn't be this hard. But it's the coalition. It's the coalition building that you do, and that it goes this way in the literacy movement. It goes this way across the nation, as well. And so I think, even though I don't know if we have any, I don't think we have anything else on. Oh yeah, we do have something else on the books. So it's going to be another screening with Drexel
awesome.
in Philadelphia. So that's all the more reason for us to be talking about this stuff. All the more reason for people to come to our screening in Harrisburg. And go on.
Yeah. Well, so you just jogged my memory in the sense of like the coalition last year. I do want to bring up, in addition to Senate Bill 801 that did make it through the Education Committee and the Senate, we passed Act 55 now a couple of years ago around structured literacy legislation that requires, for the most part, all the certification areas. If you have a teaching certification in Pennsylvania, the 5 certification areas, and it covers almost every single teacher and principal, I guess, because if you hold that certificate, you must have professional learning in structured literacy, right? And the Department of Education hired a structured literacy advisor. So Patton created a Science of Reading Knowledge course. So we have some other good things going in terms of building the knowledge of educators. And this coalition, based on the passing of Act 55, which also requires that higher ed institutions teach structured literacy in their coursework. We've been working with our higher ed partners, and Maria Troglia has been leading that work with Nancy Scharf from PBIDA and Read by Fourth to support higher ed professors in developing their coursework. And we held a higher ed summit. It was held at Patton, but it was the coalition of those literacy organizations that I mentioned that put it on with support from the Treeman Foundation. And we brought in the literacy expert in structural literacy, Louise Beer-Swerling, who's been a long friend of Patton as well, and Dr. Altheria Caldera from the Reading League for Cultural Responsiveness as it relates to structural literacy. That was last year, and it was very successful. The summit itself, and then we spent an entire year in PLCs supporting higher ed together. Higher ed institutions supported one another as they write their courses. And then this coming October, the same coalition that I mentioned prior, we're holding a summit to support school leaders, administrators. We know from the research, and we don't really even, I guess, need the research to know the most important influence in school is the teacher and the teacher's knowledge and the teacher's practice. However, certainly second to that, and probably a close second, is school leadership. If you want equity and you want sustainability within a systems approach to making a difference for kids, you absolutely must have school leaders that have the knowledge to support teachers. And so Patton created an Act 45 course in structural literacy just for administrators this past year as well. We had hundreds of principals and administrators attend that, even had a pretty big waiting list, so we're scaling that up this year. But school leadership cannot be ignored in this picture. Um, a lot of focus has been on the teacher, and as it should be, but it's also a lot of pressure because a lot of our teachers are in systems and they're they're in their own classrooms working so hard, trying to figure it out themselves, but without the knowledge of administrators who can support them. And I'm sure other people have said this, but I've said this for years. Kids should not have to win the teacher lottery. They shouldn't have to luck into the teacher's classroom who is spending her own time or his own time, money, expertise, whatever you want to say, to learn about structured literacy, the science of reading, and try to implement it themselves outside a system of support. And the student across the hallway has a teacher that has not yet, had the ability to do that through no fault of their own. But we have very different outcomes when we don't have systems that are supporting students. And we also have a lack of sustainability. One thing in Pennsylvania that we did years ago is we passed dyslexia legislation, and Patton was responsible for the professional learning and the research with the American Institutes of Research. And so we had dyslexia research sites across the state and had lots of success. But one story I do want to share is one of the sites made enormous progress. Had letters training, Orton Gillingham training. Patton was embedded there for 3 years. And there was sustainability that followed afterwards as well, which as there should be. But there was a change in leadership at the top shortly after the initial 3 years of the research study. And that leader changed everything to balance literacy. And there was an immediate drop, of course, in student outcomes, student learning. And the teachers and the reading specialists, I visited that school for a year afterwards, almost in therapy, because they were heartbroken because now they had the knowledge, they knew better, they knew how to do better, but they were being told to revert back to practices that they and you and everyone, then the evidence knows, doesn't work. And it just, it was devastating. So as much as teachers are, so important, we can't forget school leaders and the impact that they have on sustainability and equity.
Well, I know companies that won't talk to the teachers unless the leadership is in the room, and so they all get it. And those are the decision makers, and that's really important. So you guys work with the Reading League as well,
Yes,
out
yes,
there,
of course.
and the Reading League is speaks well. Okay, I'm the dumbest guy in the room over here, so. Decoding Dyslexia is the mom and dad, literally the mom and dad organization,
Yeah.
and they're kind of like a PTA as well, but they focus
Well,
on.
yeah, it wouldn't have happened without the decoding dyslexias across our country. So much of our legislation that passed in Pennsylvania specifically, and in other states, is a result of the moms and the dads who basically stood up. I sometimes think about what is that, Norma Ray?
Oh yeah, well that's Rosette.
Yeah.
Rosette and all of
Yes.
your early Decoding Dyslexia moms and
Right.
families out there.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not, yeah, right, and I'm not taking it anymore. This is a very, it's been my life's work. It always will be, but it's always been very personal. I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've been so lucky to be a teacher my whole life. But I have 6 grandchildren: Lola, Layla, Leo, Lily, Louie, and Daphne, the deal breaker. But one of my grandchildren is profoundly dyslexic. And so
Which one? Which one? Are you going to tell us?
well, I don't
Okay.
know if I want to say
You don't have to tell
on,
us. Don't tell us. Don't tell us. But
well, I'm sure she wouldn't mind, but I just would want to check with her. But she went through hell, in the family we went through hell. And that's with someone who, is a strong advocate, has deep knowledge. And what what happened to her, gosh, if this is what's happening to her, what's happening to so many other kids who don't have the advantages that she does, right? That just
And
people
you're
when
saying the advantages also because you have awareness of it, and that's again with the reading league is working with the
yeah,
professionals because you're saying about the two teachers across the hallway that don't know, the parents that don't know. This is a raising of awareness. So when we say the reading wars, we have a leadership that falls back on it. This is why I'm saying, okay, you guys lost in the bill this year, but you guys have got so much. You got the coalition so strong, and that's why having a screening, and our screening is on July 27th, right? And I think the doors open at 2 o'clock. Is that and at Harrisburg,
yeah,
Pennsylvania, the
right,
Scottish Rite
yeah.
Cathedral, and we're doing a screening of Hopeville, and we're gonna have a really great panel. Have you guys picked more people on the panel? You're gonna be on it.
Yes, that would probably be Rosette's been leading that work, and thank her for that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so it's going to be fun, and when
it,
when people get there, they're going to be able to talk with experts in Pennsylvania, and we're going to figure out what's going to happen next. And we just want to teach these kids how to read until all kids
that's
can
right.
read, right?
That's right. Yes, until every child.
Until every child can read. All right, this has been wonderful, and I can't wait until section two, part two of talking with Pam Kastner. Because did I say your last name right, Kastner?
You did. You did. You got
Yeah,
it.
I know you. I
Perfect.
have phonological processing disorders. Okay, I can't wait for part two.
Okay.